Hello and welcome. This is Danielle Watson with today's edition of the Danielle Daily. I am so glad that you guys are joining me for this topic today. This is definitely weighing on my heart today, this idea of how do you decide when to stay or whether to walk away? What factors do you want to consider? How do you know when it's the right time? I am definitely in the thick of this today, and it's interesting because this is when the practice of positivity really, where the rubber meets the road on that. So when something comes up in your life where you're facing a difficult decision, or you've already made a difficult decision and you are dealing with the aftermath of that, that's where the practice of positivity will really serve you. So it looks like you guys are already starting to send me love. Thank you so much. I really need that extra love today. So any thumbs up or hearts that you want to send across the screen, if you want to like this broadcast, I truly appreciate it. Today more than ever, I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about what's going on in my life. I would love to get your feedback on how you decide whether to stay with something or walk away. I know this is something that we all face on a regular basis. And it looks like we have Carol, we have Tammy, we have Nathan. I appreciate you guys. You're blowing me up with hearts. You're making my smile bigger by the moment. Thank you so much. Even when my heart is heavy, I can always find reasons to smile, and those hearts are definitely helping me out. So if you're just joining me, this is the Danielle Daily. I'm your host, Danielle Watson. Hi, Nathan. It's nice to see you. Thank you for joining. So today, like I said, we are talking about how do you decide whether to stay with something or walk away. We have these positivity parties here every single weekday throughout the month of October at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. You can join me here. You can always find something on the Danielle Daily that is either fun, inspiring, or positive. So today, we're hoping we're not going to be so much on the fun factor, but I'm hoping that it will still be on the inspirational scale, because we're going to talk through a little bit about something that I just had to decide to walk away from and how I made that decision and how it's impacting me. And you guys are going to get to see possibly some tears today. Hopefully not. I have Kleenex there. But yeah, my morning has been an interesting one. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sending me hearts and thumbs ups and loves. I would love it if you know anybody in your life who you can think of who is having a hard time struggling with how to walk away from something or how to decide what to walk towards. If you would just share this broadcast with them, there's a little button in the left-hand corner that says share. You can choose somebody that you're Facebook friends with and invite them here. Even if they can't watch now, they'll know about the broadcast and they'll be able to watch it later. So think about that. You know, we all have human troubles. We all have emotional things that we go through. And it's not always easy to decide what the right path is today. So I'm going to share with you the path that I chose, how I chose it, and how I'm dealing with that, because, you know, it's not all pretty. I have my red lipstick on, but you better believe that I have some extra concealer on today. And Carol says, I can cry too if that makes you smile. I don't know that would make me smile. It would definitely be solidarity, but I'm hoping that I can come at this from the way that I like to, which is from looking at the future, looking at where I'm going with this, rather than dwelling in the pain of it for the moment. I've spent the morning dwelling in the pain of it. Jeremy Freer is here. He says, logically, is what you are doing being received and making the difference you intend to you or to others? If it's no longer serving you, let it go. If so, stick it out through the muck emotionally. I like that. Okay, yeah, so that's excellent advice for sure. So what inspired me to do this topic today is I actually just decided to walk away from a relationship that I was building, and there were so many things about this relationship that was starting to build that were right. They were so good. Like on a list of pros and cons, the pros were really long list, and the cons were fairly short. But it was interesting. There were some things on the con side that the weight of them was much greater than the things that were on the pros side. And so at some point I had to decide, all right, do all this long list of pros outweigh this short list of cons? And the answer turned out to be no, that the things that were on the con side really were important to me, and they were not things that were going to serve me over the long haul. And so I had to make the decision to walk away, and that was very difficult because it hurt me. It hurt the person who I had to know that I was no longer going to be involved with them. It was difficult. Carol says, yes, but I look terrible when crying, so you could smile, it would be okay. It looks like Carmen just joined us. Thank you so much for being here. If you're just joining, again, I'm Danielle Watson. This is the Danielle Daily. When you join me here during the month of October at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, weekdays, you can count on always finding something that is either fun, inspirational, or positive. Sometimes more than that. Today, we're working with inspiration. We're working with the topic of how to decide whether to stick with something or to walk away. So it looks like several more people are joining us. Thank you so much. So in my case, I just decided that I was going to end a relationship that was building. I just did that this morning. I spent most of my morning in tears, feeling terrible about it. Even though I'm able to show up here and I'm able to smile, I'm able to be in the moment because I love you guys so much and I enjoy being here. I'm human. I feel pain too, and I was processing a lot of that pain today through my eyeballs. And so I just want you guys to know that even though I'm still doing what I want to do, even though I'm still doing what I love to do, even though I'm moving forward, that doesn't mean that I'm not dealing with uncomfortable emotions. So think about that. You know, it's so easy to just decide, well, I'm having a bad day and I'm not going to do any of the things I like to do. But actually, I love doing these broadcasts. And so as part of showing my self-love, as part of doing self-care for myself, I decided I was going to show up for this broadcast anyways. Even if that meant that at some point I had to pull out the tissues, I was going to be okay with that because I really wanted to be here with you guys. So as I was making my decision whether to continue forward or to walk away, I thought about the pros and cons. That's not my main criteria though. When I think about whether I want to stick with something or whether I need to walk away with it, really what I think about more is, does this make me feel like I'm growing? Does this make me feel like I'm becoming more of a person? Does this make me feel like this is a fertile ground in which I can expand and develop? And when I'm thinking about that, I'm also thinking about, okay, who would I become if I continued on the path that I'm on? And is that who I would want to become? So for me, those are very important factors for me. I like to feel like I'm in growth. I like to feel like I'm becoming more. I like to have fun. But for me, walking away from something that feels really good and really fun, it's also difficult. Even though I have these criteria of wanting to feel like more, of wanting to feel growth, if I'm enjoying myself to a certain level, it's very easy to talk myself into just telling myself that, well, this is pretty good. Why would I go for something else? But the thing is when we're faced with a choice like that, we're really faced with, are we going to go ahead and open our hand to what is before us, what is becoming, what it is that we're moving towards, or are we going to hang on tight where we are? Sometimes it is so worth hanging on tight where you are. It's worth fighting for something that really matters to you. And other times, the best thing to do is to just release and trust that whatever comes to you next is going to be the exact thing you need. Carol says, good for you. Thank you so much. It looks like Lauren Jones is watching. We have Janice. I have not seen her in ages. I'm so glad to have you here, Janice. I believe you got married earlier this year. I think I saw that in my Facebook feed. That was awesome. Carol says, goes to always having something great to look forward to. It helps so much. You are here, extra concealer and all. When you take a positive action after seeing red flags, that is the right that is growth in the right direction. Lauren says, I look so French today. I have to agree with her. I also have a red wrap that when I wear this out, I wear it and I feel absolutely French, and I always think of Lauren when I wear it. So I love that she called that out. So if you're just joining, again, I'm Danielle Watson. This is the Danielle Daily. You can find me here every weekday throughout the month of October at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I so appreciate you guys joining me for this discussion on how to decide whether you need to walk away from something or whether you're going to continue on that path. You know, I know from my personal experience, it's difficult. It's difficult to walk away from something that doesn't feel quite right. And for me, not feeling quite right means that I'm not feeling like I'm growing. I'm not feeling like I'm becoming more. I'm not feeling like the path I'm on is taking me towards where I need to go. But sometimes I'm so comfortable where I am. I'm really enjoying how lovely it feels to be right where I am, that it makes it difficult. And it's difficult when we're making a decision that impacts other people as well, and that maybe they would have made a different decision if they'd been the one to decide. That doesn't get any easier the older we get. And I'm curious, how do you guys decide whether you're going to continue on with something or walk away? Jeremy gave a great example. I really appreciated that. I wonder if anybody else has any examples. Oh, Jimmy says that she's engaged, not married. Okay, so I have to wait for the wedding photos, but thank you for being here. I do remember seeing that you had some supreme happiness come up, and I liked that post right away. So talk to me, you guys. Talk to me about how you decide whether you're going to stick with something or whether you're going to walk away. So on days like today where I've just made a difficult decision, it's making me very uncomfortable, it's making me sad, this is where the rubber meets the road on my practices of positivity. I think about, okay, I'm feeling bad, but what can I do to feel better? That doesn't mean I don't spend time feeling bad. Like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, I spent most of my morning crying. It felt awful. And then I decided, all right, I'm ready to do something that feels better. And so one of those things that feels better was to get on this broadcast with you guys. I know later today I will go to yoga. I'm making sure I drink plenty of water. I went ahead and put on makeup because I like the way that I look when I walk by the mirror when I've done my face up. I'm not quite sure what else I'm going to do for myself today. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm thinking, a pumpkin spice latte sounds awfully nice. I may have to go get myself one of those. Also, I called my very best friend, she's been my best friend since I was 16, Sarah, and I chatted through things with her, and she gave me a pep talk and reminded me of how awesome I am, and that really helped. So it looks like Lauren Jones says, I asked myself, how would I feel if I walked away? Yeah, that's a great question. Ask yourself, how would I feel if I walked away? And how would I feel if I didn't walk away? So a lot of times when we consider how will I feel when I walk away, right away the feeling is, oh, it's going to feel terrible. It's going to feel awful. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt me. It's going to hurt the other person. It's not going to feel good. But we have to go past that piece and think about longer term down that road. How are we going to feel if we walk away versus we don't? Because it's so easy to sacrifice your long-term joy for a short-term boost of happiness, when really that long-term joy is really what we're after. So it looks like Carol says, I make lists, and yes, one of those lists took me to a divorce. Yeah, that's something that I've certainly been through as well, and it's not easy, but that list making can be definitely a part of figuring out where you fall in that. What is the right road for you to take for your own happiness, for the happiness of the other people involved? Carmen says, I just get an overwhelming feeling that I'm done, then figure out the next move before I actually end the situation. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if you have a specific example of that, Carmen. I know you've made some very bold decisions this year. I'm curious where you used that figuring out the next move before you actually ended the situation. If you would type that in, I would love to read that. So I love how Carmen talks about planning ahead before you end the situation, because sometimes once you have ended the situation, you're suddenly in a very emotional place, and one of two things can happen very easily. One, you slide back into the situation that you just exited, or two, you are so caught up in the emotion of where you're at that it's difficult to move forward. So having that plan ahead, I love that. That's great. So Janice shares, I write out and heavily weigh the pros and consequences. My dog is extremely sick and I cry every day trying to decide if I'm helping her or if it's time. Same with employment transition decisions. You have to be comfortable with both sides of the risk and outcome, no regrets. I'm so sorry about your puppy, Janice. That's so sad. I know, I'm very sorry. But your list making and your pros and consequences is absolutely a wonderful way to decide what the right thing is to do. Jeremy says there's a stigma around letting go sometimes. You're a quitter. Don't hold on just because the time has been invested. That's one of the reasons why we mindfully and deeply live in the moment. It was worth it for the deep reality of ever-present moment, not for some imagined future which could never come to be. We mourn the future construct more than the actual relationship most of the time. You are absolutely right. You are speaking my language. I really appreciate that comment. It's very true. That future really is something imagined, and the present moment is all that we actually have. It is where our point of power is. It is where our point of focus needs to be. And when we do that, it does become easier to choose which direction, which trajectory that we'd like to be on. So it looks like Misty's watching. Thank you so much for joining us. She's one of our new viewers. I really appreciate you being here. So we're chatting about how to decide whether to continue on a path or whether to just let it go and try a different path. I had a personal experience of ending a relationship this morning. It was difficult. It was emotional. As I said, I spent most of my morning crying, but I wanted to be here because this for me is fun, and getting to interact with each of you brightens my day. It brings a smile to my face. You guys are blowing me up with hearts across the screen. You're liking this broadcast. I love that. You know, no matter how practiced we are at being positive, it is a practice, and the more you practice it, the easier it is to call that in when you find yourself in an emotionally difficult situation. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that I do have this practice of keeping myself focused in the present and keeping myself focused on what's positive, because it does help me to be able to spend a morning crying and feeling what I feel, and then be able to get out there in front of you guys, be able to put my lipstick on, be able to have this conversation from a place of sharing. And if I didn't have that, there's no way I'd be here. I'd still be in my bed crying. So this is way better. You guys are making me smile. I love that. Carol Sanick says, the could have been makes it tough. You're so right, because we never know what could have been if we stuck with it. But usually we can tell in our heart or in our gut if continuing on that path is genuinely going to take us where we want to go. A lot of times we end up staying where we are out of fear of the unknown rather than excitement about the future. And that for me is another way that I weigh whether I want to stay on a path that I've started down. I love to feel drawn by that excitement about the future. And I found that when I stay on a path or in a situation because fear of what might happen if I get off of it, that's always a bad situation for me. So Carmen says, leaving my brokerage was super hard because I had a great relationship with my manager and I never want to hurt anyone. But I had to really look at what was best for my family, and leaving was best. It was weird because I cried the whole way to the office, but when I walked in, the big girl panties came on and not one tear was shed during the conversation by me, and I really knew I did the right thing. I love that. She put her big girl panties on, she went in like a boss, she got it done, and she knew it was the right thing before she got there. And when it was over, she knew it was still the right thing. Jeremy Freer says, should I go put my lipstick on? Maybe. I don't know what I'm missing. Maybe it's Maybelline. You can put some lipstick on if you like, but I don't know that red is quite your color. Maybe choose something else. Jimmy says, I applaud you taking care of yourself and doing your next right thing for you. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Yes, it's not always easy to do what feels right for you, especially when you know it's going to hurt somebody else's feelings and there's nothing you can do about that. But I firmly believe that by doing what's right for us, we become a person who attracts those things that are also right for us. So when we're in situations where we're doing what's wrong for us, we tend to attract more of what is also wrong for us. So I really try to keep my eye on the prize, to keep my eye towards moving towards what feels fun, what I'm enthusiastic about, what I love, what lights me up, and not get stuck in that fear place of making decisions about, oh gosh, will I regret it if I do this? Doesn't mean it happens all the time, but I do my best. I practice. I do it over and over again. And by practicing that, it allows me to do fun things like be here with you guys and have you help me smile. And, you know, right now, I don't feel sad at all. I know that when I get off the broadcast, that will come up a little bit, but this moment of joy and happiness, totally worth it. And I would not have had that if I didn't have my practice of focusing on the positive, of keeping my eye on moving towards what I want. And I love that I get to share with you guys right in the thick of it when I am definitely emotional, when I've spent my morning crying. I've been able to show you guys, hey, I have a positive outlook on life, but that does not mean that nothing bad ever happens. It doesn't mean I don't ever deal with anything difficult. It doesn't mean that my life is all peaches and cream and somehow the universe has just paved everything perfectly for me. I have to deal with the same things that you guys have to deal with. And we're all just learning. We're all just trying to be the best people we could be. And I love that you guys have shared your stories with me here today. I'm going to write down some notes afterwards on the strategies that you use so that the next time I'm faced with it, I will have those in my toolkit. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. I do have today's note to self for you. I want to remind you to share this broadcast, to subscribe to receive notifications. I will be here throughout the month of October at the same time, weekdays, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. But after October, I will be doing more of pop-up positivity parties, so you'll never know when they're going to happen, and you won't know about them unless you're subscribed to receive notifications. If you're not sure how to do that, feel free to message me, leave a comment. I can link you to a YouTube video that will show you exactly how it's done. And I so appreciate you guys joining me today. So today's note to self is, dear self, keep moving until nothing feels more right than to stop and grow roots. Love me. And I'll read that again. So today's note to self is, dear self, keep moving until nothing feels more right than to stop and grow roots. So don't stop and grow roots because you're afraid of moving forward. Don't stop and grow roots because you're lazy. Don't stop and grow roots because you're wondering what's going to come next. Keep moving forward until nothing feels more right than to stop and grow roots right where you are. So one more time, I'll read the note to self. Today's note to self, dear self, keep moving until nothing feels more right than to stop and grow roots. So again, Janine says, I applaud you. Sorry, I already read that comment. So again, I'm Danielle Watson. This is the Danielle Daily. You know when to catch me. I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for sharing your strategies with me. Thank you for being a reason that I needed to get out of my bedroom and put on my red lipstick and put on my beautiful French shirt and pearls and to show up in the world and to interact with people instead of just sitting around moping and feeling sorry for myself. I know that because I got up and did this broadcast, something good will come of that. I don't know what it will be, but I know that it was better for me to do this because it makes me feel happy than for me to just sit and wallow in my sadness. So thank you for being a focal point for that. I so appreciate you guys. Lauren says, does taking time for your own pleasure qualify as growing roots? Absolutely. Well, you know me, Lauren, taking time for your own pleasure, it would qualify as a reason to stop and grow roots, not as a reason not to grow roots. Taking time for your own pleasure always. Jeremy says, peace out, Girl Scout. Thank you. Tammy blowing me a kiss. This is my most commented video on ever, so thank you guys for making that happen. Facebook just let me know that. I love you all. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'm Danielle Watson. This has been today's edition of the Danielle Daily, and until tomorrow, mwah! Love you guys. See you then.